Hey, Falcon fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to Atlanta Falcons Today. And it's a Monday morning. Obviously, you saw the game yesterday. Disappointingly enough, I know. We have to break down, of course, the Falcons lost to the San Francisco 49ers, 31-13, and potentially the fact that they've been knocked out of the postseason. Not mathematically, right? They still have a couple games to play here, and with some help and some winning, as we'll talk about and show you guys in the next couple of minutes, they can technically still make the postseason. But that game yesterday, I think, was kind of a microcosm of all the issues Atlanta has had this year, and shows that against good football teams like the San Francisco 49ers, they're just not quite there, and they don't match up talent-wise, and obviously we'll talk about this all coming up here today. First off, it is just disappointing, right? It's disappointing, 31-13. We'll talk about the missed opportunities in the red zone, the turnovers, the fact the offensive line couldn't block, the fact the defensive line couldn't seem to tackle. I mean, there were a lot of disappointing things here in this game. I think the most important one is that they had a chance to go into San Francisco, pull off an upset, get themselves into the playoff hunt, into the playoff picture, and really do something over the final three games. And you had the Detroit Lions next week, and then a Buffalo team that's playing good football, and then the Saints won last night, but the Saints matchup would be in Atlanta, and so maybe a chance to win out. Who knows? And yet there they went into that game yesterday and really tried. I mean, I think that they put a good effort forward, but it just wasn't even close to a very red-hot San Francisco 49er football team. The main takeaway, obviously, today is that the Falcons' playoffs run was a fun story. Like, it was fun while it lasted. We all knew that Atlanta, if they got in, they weren't going to be competitive in the first round. They, would have lost to the Bucs and Tampa, or they would have gone on the road and lost to the Cardinals. They would have lost to the Dallas Cowboys. There really wasn't a team that Atlanta matched up well enough with. But the idea that a team that had so few wins last year could bounce back and make the postseason this year was a fun story. But the story, I think it did die yesterday. And even if they do get in, or even if they do make some sort of miracle, 3-0 run the next 3 weeks, and they get a lot of help, the odds of them making the postseason are very, very slim. Let's start with this pinned comment down below in the comment section right now. Grade the Falcons' performance versus the 49ers. Little ad break here. Just scroll down and answer this question. A, B, C, D, or F. Grade the Falcons yesterday. I'm at like a C-. I mean, this was... There was some good, there was just a lot more bad, and so I think I kind of hover around the overall grade of the entire season, which is probably like a C+ or, a B-. I'll go C- here. Give me your thoughts down below the pinned comment. All right, first big takeaway is really the differences in the trenches showed. Like the difference between the San Francisco 49ers offensive line versus our defensive line, and our offensive line versus their defensive line, it like really showed. And there's a great comparison we'll throw up on your screen right now that to me just encapsulates the real problems and the issues right now in Atlanta talent-wise, and that, of course, is inside the trenches. So San Francisco, great defensive line. Nick Bosa obviously might win Defensive Player of the Year. He's definitely going to win Comeback Player of the Year on the defense. He had multiple sacks. The defense as a whole had 3 sacks of Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan running for his life the entire day, right? Versus the Atlanta defense that had 0 sacks of Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo was hardly touched, right? You can see the comparison as you saw on the game up there in Santa Clara. Vice versa, the Niners, 162 rushing yards. I mean, they ran all over this Falcon defense, and they were hardly touched. I mean, it was like 6 yards a carry before they were actually getting contacted, and that's linebackers too, that's safeties, not just defensive line, versus Atlanta, who had 62 rushing yards. And so this is just kind of, again, a microcosm of what's wrong with the Atlanta Falcons all year long, is that they cannot protect Matt Ryan, and they're unable to run the football on offense, and then defensively, they can't stop the run most of the time, and sometimes they were able to, but the pass rush has been non-existent. The main takeaway of this entire season that the Falcons must upgrade the trenches. Like, they have to upgrade the trenches at some point during the 2022 offseason, whether that's free agent pass rushers or offensive linemen, or, it's draft pass rushers, draft offensive linemen. So I think that's kind of the more focus, I think, from Atlanta, is building through the draft, but they've got to hit on these guys. They've got to get to the point where they can go up against a very good pass blocking, run blocking team like the 49ers and hold up their own. Because in the end, even if they would have made the postseason, let's say they magically win that game yesterday, they still don't really have a chance to stop the Tom Brady's of the world and that Bucs offensive line, or, Kyler Murray and that rushing attack with James Conner and Chase Edmonds. Like, it just was never going to actually happen. And so yesterday, I think, was a good example of what we've seen all year long, all kind of encapsulated into one football game. All right, before we get into my next takeaway here, we shout out to our sponsor and friends today's video at BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/BetFalcons. Use that promo code Falcons125. Get a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. You don't have to bet the Falcons, essentially. You can bet any other NFL games, and once the Falcon games are over, you can bet on the postseason games as well. And so do it with our friends. A crazy good promo code with that link right now, chatsports.com/BetFalcons. Again, the promo code is Falcons125. Turns your $100 deposit into $225. All right, now, Atlanta did get pushed around both on the offensive defense side of the football, but they did have opportunities, and it's the missed opportunities that really doomed Atlanta. I mean, they had multiple drives into the red zone. You have the fumbled snap, then you have the turnovers. It was just they could have made this at least a one-score game in the fourth quarter had they not shot themselves in the foot. And they did that all day long yesterday, which is brutal to watch. I mean, really, you just can't go 1 for 5 in the red zone, right? Like, you get 5 trips into the red zone. I think 3 of those were goal-to-goal situations, and they were unable to even get any sort of points. Like, 31-13, the final score, but it would have been, 31-24, 31-27 had they actually converted in the red zone. Some of the play calls, too, on short yardage when they need just 2 or 3 yards, and they pitch it back 7 yards to Patterson. He's running for his life on the outside. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, 1 for 5 in the red zone is going to doom any football team, and it doomed Atlanta yesterday. I mentioned earlier the playoff hopes. They're not mathematically dead, like they technically are still alive, although I think most of us can agree the Falcons' playoff chances are pretty much dead. If you think that they're dead, type Y down below for yes. Think that they're still alive, then, good for you, I guess. You can type N down below for no, that they are, in fact, not dead. All right, next thought here is, the 49er defense, I keep comparing the 49ers to the Atlanta Falcons, but it just was a very stark comparison. The Niner defense was nasty. The Falcon defense didn't seem to have to want to tackle in this game. Like, very little tackling, very poor tackling in this game, and it really showed, especially in the run game. Like, Jeff Wilson Jr. had himself an incredible day running the football. 21 carries, 110 yards, 1 touchdown. He averaged like 5.2 yards per carry. Like, you start thinking about guys like Deion Jones, who at one point were one of the better linebackers in the National Football League. I think he's kind of lost a step. And I think I brought that up in week 3 or week 4, and then he started playing a little better. But I think in the end, Deion Jones is no longer this speedy guy who'll come hit you in the mouth. He's fast, but he's not making a lot of tackles. And overall, the defense, they've got to get better. Deebo Samuel had a great day, and I think A.J. Terrell got worked a little bit on the outside. Of course, Terrell's still young, but we consider him to be one of the better cornerbacks in the National Football League. Deebo had like 4 catches, 60 yards. He also had 29 yards rushing and the 1 rushing touchdown. And again, kind of hitting the Falcon defense in the mouth the entire day. The defense, much like the trenches, they've got to get just tougher, and I think that's what Dean Pease wants them to be. Just the talent is just not there and hasn't been pretty much all year long. All right, before we get into the bright spots that we saw yesterday, as we continue here on our breakdown of the loss to the 49ers yesterday, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, because even though it is the week of Christmas, we'll have plenty more videos coming up the next couple of days here, and then a little break for Christmas, and then back, of course, on Monday for a breakdown of the Lions game, who beat the Cardinals yesterday, which is crazy. So again, make sure you guys are subscribed down below. We approach 5K subs here, trying to go ahead and keep you guys up to date on everything happening with your Atlanta Falcons. It is at least a bright spot for us to at least mention that Russell Gage and Kyle Pitts have showed that they are the future in terms of weapons on this offense. They need to add another receiver, but Russell Gage has played great the past couple of weeks. 11 targets, 8 catches, 91 yards, couple of big, the touchdown catch where he just mossed the cornerback was absolutely fantastic. He has really played himself into the number 2 spot for next season. Now, problem is he didn't do this early on in the year, and he was injured, and he just didn't really get a lot of targets, and he wasn't getting open, but now, the past 3 weeks, he's really started to play a lot better, and so congrats to Russell Gage for at least doing that, and I like what I saw from him yesterday. Likewise, Kyle Pitts had one of his better games as a Falcon. He has the longest catch as a Atlanta Falcon, like a 49er reception there. That was absolutely fantastic. 77 yards on 4 catches. He continues to show that he's going to be a real force in year 2, and I can't wait to see what he can do out there in year 2 for the Falcons. All right, finally, we need to at least acknowledge that Atlanta might not win another game, right? We talk about postseason, but as you look at the next 3 weeks, at one point the Lions game was supposed to be easy, but they're playing for Dan Campbell. I mean, they blew out the Cardinals, the healthy Cardinals yesterday. That's going to be tough to win. The Bills obviously are going to be battling for a playoff spot. You're not going to get a unmotivated Buffalo Bill team. You're on the road there too. And then the Saints, they just beat up on Tom Brady and the Bucs last night, although, they struggle against bad football teams. They play better against good football teams, so who knows what team you're going to play in the Saints, but there's a chance that the Falcons might not win out, which obviously it gets them out of playoff contention, but also does give them technically a chance to have a higher draft pick. So, there's perks to everything here. Give me your prediction for the Falcons' final record down below. They're currently 6-8. I think they're going to get one more here. I think they're probably going to finish up here. Probably 7-10 is my final score prediction based on what we saw yesterday. Give me your thoughts on the score prediction down below right now. Finally, quickly, playoff bracket. Again, this will change after today and after tomorrow because there are games on Monday, 2 games on Monday night tonight, and then 2 games on Tuesday night. But right now, you obviously see that the Cardinals have fallen down. They've been falling down big time over the past couple of weeks. The 49ers stay there at the 6th spot. Looks like San Francisco is going to lock up that 6th spot, although technically, if they win out, they could be as high as 5. I don't think they could still win the division. Washington, for now, is the 7th seed. Of course, Philadelphia can change that if they win tomorrow night. The Vikings, with a win tonight, have a chance to go and change that as well. But Atlanta at 6-8, with all these other teams yet to play, really, if they win, then it looks like Atlanta's chances are very slim. But you guys already knew that, right? This isn't a shocker to anybody talking about the playoff chances are starting to die a little bit for the Falcons. All right, ultimate video today here on our Atlanta Falcons News Rumor video. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Plenty more content coming up over the next couple of days and weeks here as we keep you guys up to date here on Chat Sports regarding your Atlanta Falcons. I'm Thomas Mott. Whole time we have, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.